challenges and opportunities. I am extremely glad to welcome you all to the third day of the faculty development program. Today we have with us a very eminent speaker, Dr. Selvam. He is the former Dean of Sciences, Bishop Heber College, Tiruchirappally. He is a NAC consultant and he is assisting various colleges in its accreditation process. He is a very reputed external academic auditor. He has 35 years of teaching experience to his credit. He has been the resource person in more than 100 seminars and conferences related to NAC and higher education. He is from the zoology discipline and he has served as the former head of the Department of Zoology, and he has also served as the former coordinator of Molecular Sciences Department. He is a very reputed, eminent person who has guided or he has assisted various colleges in Kerala, Tamil Nadu, and all over South India in getting A+ grade in the NAC accreditation. Some of the colleges that have achieved A+ grades are the Sacred Heart College, Chalakudi, the Providence College, Calicut, the MES College, Marampalli, the Sita Lakshmi Ramasamy College for Women, Trichy. And also, he has assisted various other colleges in achieving A grade in the NAC accreditation. Some of those colleges that have achieved A grade are the SN College, Kannur, the Mathoma College, Tiruvalla, the Christ College, Irinyalakoda, and his assistants spread out to various other colleges also. Yesterday, we had been listening to Dr. Selvam on NAC accreditation process, new norms and new challenges. I think we had a very excellent session yesterday. He was very lucid in his presentation. He made things so simple, and I think all those colleges, faculties from colleges that are aspiring to undergo the NAC accreditation process, it was such a privilege to listen to Dr. Selvam yesterday. I think he made the whole accreditation process from the beginning, from the submission of the IQAC to the whole process, how to prepare the SSR, the student satisfaction survey, the validation process, and he touched upon every minute aspect related to the NAC accreditation process. And in continuation of yesterday's lecture, today, Dr. Selvam will be speaking to us on strategies for the 7 criteria of Revised Accreditation Framework. I think all those who listened yesterday should necessarily listen to this talk and be blessed by this talk. I think he is a very an excellent person to listen to. I think his presentation is so simple and he has made things so very clear. So, sir, we are extremely privileged to have you in our midst. And on behalf of the Bishop Moore College, on behalf of the Internal Quality Assurance Cell, and on behalf of all the faculties who are listening to us today morning, I welcome you very heartily to this session, sir. I also take this opportunity to welcome Dr. Jacob Chandy, who is the principal of Bishop Moore College. He has been a constant motivator, a guide. He has been consistently strengthening us in organizing such programs. I very heartily welcome our principal, Dr. Jacob Chandy, sir, also to this session. I also take the privilege to welcome all the faculty members from the length and breadth of the nation, from Kanyakumari to Kashmir, and from Gujarat to Calcutta. I think throughout, from the length and breadth of the country, there are participants who are listening to this session. I welcome all the participants. Close to around 150 participants are participating in this session. I very heartily, I very warmly welcome all the participants to this session. I welcome my colleagues and all my co-workers in the Bishop Moore College. Once again, I take this opportunity to welcome Dr. Selvam, sir. And sir, I very heartily ask you to take over this session. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Rinchen, for the nice words. Thank you very much. Is my PPT visible to you, sir?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes.
Okay. A very good morning to everyone. Hello? Is it visible? Shall I proceed, sir?
Yes,
Hello?
sir. Yes, sir. Good morning, sir. Please continue.
Okay, good. Thank you very much. Very good morning to everyone. And I thank the principal and the IQAC team of the Bishop Moore College for the opportunity to interact with the participants across the length and breadth of the country on this accreditation process. I sincerely hope that my last session on the Revised Accreditation Framework by NAC has given you some clear picture about the process. And today, let me tell you about how to go about preparing yourselves for the process. So yesterday you had an idea about the whole process, and today's presentation is about how to go about preparing yourself for the accreditation process. So let me assume this way, say, just as our students are taking examinations, it is also said the teachers are always students. So just as our students are taking examinations, we are also going to take an examinations being conducted by the NAC University on the subject accreditation process. Now there are certain similarities and differences between our university examinations and this exam that we are going to face from the NAC University. So this NAC University has got only one subject. The title is accreditation process. But there are certain differences between this examination and the conventional university examination. Say this exam by the NAC is an online examination. It is an online examination. We are going to take these examinations by online process. Secondarily, this exam is not being conducted uniformly for all the students. That is to say that as and when a college is completing 5 years, you have to take these examinations by online. The third thing is, in a conventional examination system, a student may try to copy from his neighbor and write something and get through the examination. But that won't work in this examination being conducted by the NAC, because even though the questions are the same, your answer has to be essentially unique and different for nearly 70% of questions, which are amounting to the quantitative metrics. And fourth important difference is, unlike the conventional unit examinations where you will not know the questions paper, here NAC has already announced you that these are the questions. If you are a PG Africa college, for the subject on accreditation process, there are 7 chapters. Each chapter has got certain number of questions, and each questions will have different marks. There are certain questions which carry just 1 mark, and there is a question which carries 6 to 8 edges. So there are various types of questions with different marks. But the important point that you have to understand while you take this particular examination is, in a conventional system of examination, you may not even touch the book for the whole semester. Just 1 week before the examination, you may get the book, study something, write something, and get away with it. But that kind of approach will not work in this examination being conducted by the NAC University. The point is, you have to work consistently throughout the 5 years, have certain activities, so that at the end of the 5 years, you'll have some data and information to write your examinations. So kindly understand that this is, if your approach is as though you are taking examination, you'll be able to understand how this particular session in a better way. See, while you are taking an examination, what is your objective? You want to score very good marks, possibly, if not a centum, possibly a distinction. So what is the strategy that you are following if you want to score well in examinations? We know that in any subject, there are certain chapters and questions which are very important from the examination point of view. And we know that if you are able to do well, particularly if you are able to do those questions which are very important, which carry more marks, you'll be able to score good marks. Similar strategy has to be followed while you are appearing for this examination being conducted by the NAC also. So the point that you have to ultimately understand is that even your understanding of the process is not enough. You should do a lot of homework before you take this examination, so that ultimately you will be able to score a very good score, and thereby your college can get a plus or A++. Now I'll take you through the process of discussing about these important metrics which are having high weightages, and how to go about preparing yourself for a particular metric so that you score more weightages for a particular metric. So that is the objective of this presentation. As I pointed out yesterday, in the accreditation process, there are seven criteria such as curricular aspects, teaching, learning and evaluation, research, innovation, extension, infrastructure, learning resources, student support and progression, governance, leadership, management, and finally, institutional values and the best practices. Now, these seven weightages are ultimately having two kinds of metrics that I told you. For any metric, if your answer is by way of description, it is called as the qualitative metrics. For a particular metric, if your answer is by way of you giving certain numbers, by way of facts and figures, then they are referred as a quantitative metrics. And as of now, for a PG affiliated college, there are 96 metrics, and for a UG affiliated college, there are 93 metrics. But they are not in equal proportion, which I pointed out earlier also. There are 70% of questions for which your answer has to be by way of you submitting certain numbers and data, whereas only 30% of questions will require you to give some kind of descriptive answers. These are some of the basics that which I already discussed. And this again, I told you yesterday that there is some uniformity with reference to the number of criteria, but the key indicators are different for different categories of institution. And so also the number of qualitative metrics and quantitative metrics for a particular category of colleges. So most of us are belonging to these affiliated PG colleges. In that case, you will find that there are 96 metrics. That is to say, there are 96 questions for which you will have to answer. Out of this, the 60 questions will require you to give some kind of data or some kind of numbers, and only for 36 questions you will be giving some kind of descriptive answers. Now, this picture will give you some idea about the weightages for the individual criteria. So, no, I could see each criterion is having certain key indicators, and each key indicators will have certain number of metrics. And they are not uniformly for all the four categories of institutions. For example, in the curricular aspects, if you are an affiliated college, you have nothing to do with the designing the curriculum, because you are simply following the curriculum which is designed by the university, and you are following the curriculum offered by the university. So it is not applicable to you, but you are involved in execution of the curriculum which is designed by the university, and are you offering some academic flexibility that carries 30 weightages, and the curriculum enhancement carries 30 weightages. And finally, the feedback that you are getting from the various stakeholders related to curriculum carries 20 weightages. So altogether, if you are an affiliated college, for the first criterion, there are 100 weightages. Similarly, for the second thing, there are 350 weightages. And the third one is on research, innovation, extension, which carries 110 for a UG college and 120 for a PG college. And infrastructure learning resources uniformly carry 100 marks for all categories of institutions. And the student support and progression carries 140 marks for a UG college and 130 marks for the PG colleges. And these variations in the weightages are as per the views of the NAC related to the focus on which the particular category of institutions have to play. For example, if you are a university, your focus has to be on research and publication. So there are 100 weightages for a university for publication. Whereas if you are just an affiliated college, you see that the weightage is comparatively less, only 15 for a UG college and 25 for a PG college. So the weightage differences are related to the focus of the various categories of higher education institutions. And the student support and progression carries 140 and 130 weightages for the UG and the PG colleges. And the governance, leadership, management, and the institutional values and best practices uniformly carry only 100 marks for each criterion. And the grand total will be only 1,000. Irrespective of your category of institution, the grand total will be the 1,000 weightage. That is to say, at the end of which all the categories of higher education institutions will be evaluated for a total of 1,000 weightages. Now, the point that a college has to understand is where to focus. That is to say, if a college wants to score, say, A grade or A plus or A plus plus grade, where to focus. So there are 96 questions, but these 96 questions, as I pointed earlier, they are not having uniform marks. There are certain questions which carry just 1 mark. There is a question which carries 60 marks. So naturally, only if you could do extremely well in a question which carries 60 weightages, you should be able to get A plus or A plus plus. Now, for an updated college, I would suggest that essentially you have to focus on two important criteria. One is the second one, teaching, learning, evaluation, which carries 350 weightages. See, there are 7 criteria for a grand total of 1000 weightages, but there is a single criterion here with a total of 350 weightages. So more than 1/3 of weightages is assigned to this particular criterion, namely teaching, learning, evaluation. So if you look at the profile of the colleges which have got A plus or A plus plus, you will see that they have done extremely well in this particular criterion, and they should score more out of the 350. This is very important. So the focus should be, you should be able to score extremely good in this particular criterion, namely teaching, learning, and evaluation. And next to this is the fifth one, namely the student support and progression, which is carrying at 130 weightages for a PG college and 140 for a UG college. So combining these two criteria, you will find that they are actually accounting for nearly 50% of the weightages. So there are 7 criteria for a total of 1000 weightages, but you can understand that these two criteria, namely teaching, learning, and evaluation, and student support and progression alone carries nearly 50% of the weightages. So the focus of a college has to be to do extremely well in these two criteria. And only if you could do extremely well in these two criteria, you will be in a position to get the A plus and above. So focus has to be particularly, of course, you will have to focus on all the 7 criteria and try to do well for all the 96 questions. But as I pointed out, if you really want to get a very good marks, the focus should be, you should do extremely well in certain certain metrics which carry very high weightages, such as 2 and 5. So it is it is to be understood by the colleges that if you really want to score A grade or A plus and above, you should be focusing particularly on these two criteria, namely teaching, learning, evaluation, and student support and progression. Now, I'll give some details about the each criterion and the various metrics which are carrying certain high weightages, and what should be done to get maximum out of that particular metrics. So, first criterion is the curricular aspects, and as an design and development, but academic flexibility, curriculum enrichment, and feedback system. So, yeah. Now, the curricular aspects, as I pointed out, as an affiliated college, you have nothing to do with the designing the curriculum. You are only involved in implementing the curriculum, which is designed by the university. And how many programs that you are having, how many add-on programs that you are having, how many students are there in the various programs are coming under this. And academic flexibility is also there, whether you are offering child-based credit system, whether there are electives for the various programs is the consideration here. And the curriculum enrichment, what kind of additional program that you are providing to the students. And finally, the feedback system that is to be concerned for the related to curriculum. So the grand total for this particular criteria is 100 for a affiliated college. Now, in this particular criterion, their focus should be on the number of add-on and certificate programs offered during the last 5 years. Same, there is a limitation for the colleges to have the affiliated programs offered by the universities. Even yesterday, Dr. Anup was asking me a question about, sir, there is restriction on the part of the colleges to have more number of programs because the government is not giving permission, university is not giving affiliation. In that case, what should we do? So here is an opportunity for the colleges to have more of add-on programs or more of certificate programs. Kindly understand that to have these add-on programs and certificate programs, you don't need any approval from the university or the government or from any competent agency. Every department can think of starting some kind of add-on program or certificate programs which is related to their curriculum. All that is required is that this certificate program or add-on program should have a minimum 30 contact classes between you and your students who are undergoing this program. So the minimum requirement is 30 contact classes is the minimum requirement. You should have a syllabus for the program. You should have a qualified faculty. You should maintain the attendance register. You should also conduct periodical examinations. And finally, you conduct the end examinations. And you can even print certificate and issue certificates to the students who are undergoing the programs, and they have 5 copies of certificates for each program. So it's very simple. All the departments can start to think of some kind of programs related to their curriculum. For example, as I told you yesterday, mathematics department can think of starting maths for all competitive examinations, spoken English by the English department. So anything related to your curriculum, you can try to offer some kind of certificate programs. Now, while think of the certificate programs, the point that you should bear in mind is, let it be a very short-term program. That is to say, don't have an annual program covering for the whole year. That means you can only have a limited number of students, because the next quantity metric is the average percent of students enrolled in the add-on programs and certificate programs as against the total number of students during the last 5 years. See, add-on programs altogether have carried 20 weightages. So the number of programs that they are offering, there is 10 weightages. And how many students are actually undergoing these various add-on programs, certificate programs carry another 10 weightages. A college may have got 10 programs, but in each program, there are only suppose 10 students. Altogether, even though you are offering 10 certificate programs, out of 1,500 students, only 100 students are undergoing the programs. Suppose if the program is of shorter duration, say for about 3 months, you can have it 4 times in a year. Suppose if the program is for duration of 6 months time, you can have it twice in a year. And if the program is of general nature, like maths for the competitive examination, you can actually enroll more number of students. So the objective is not only just to start these add-on programs, certificate programs, but you should also ensure that there is more number of students who are enrolled for these various programs, so that ultimately you get more out of these 20 weightages. So the first focus has to be, each department should think of carrying out some kind of add-on programs or certificate programs. And this point has to be understood in the right context, so that ultimately it helps. One point that I just wanted to tell you, the difference between the conventional examination and this examination is, in the examination, in the conventional university examination, as I told you, you might not touch the book at all. But in the last minute, you can learn something and then write something and get through the examination. But that won't work here. A systematic work throughout the 5 years alone will be helping you at the end of the 5 years when you take this online examination. So kindly ensure that right now you should think of having some kind of add-on program, some kind of certificate programs related to your curriculum. And if it is possible, you ensure that there are more number of students who are undergoing these programs. Then the second one is average percentage of courses that include experience learning through the project work, field work, and internship during the last 5 years. And again, the number of students who are undergoing this project will carry another 10 marks. So the second aspect where you have to focus is what kind of courses that you are having that include experience learning through the project work, field work, internship. For example, if you are teaching about zoo, it is said that there is no point in you teaching zoo right in the classroom. You have to take your student to the zoo and then ask the student to see by themselves how the animals are there in the zoo. And that is what is the experiential learning. Yesterday, I gave an example. You are teaching about the banking system, but the student do not know how to take a challan, how to take a draft. So you take your student to the bank and ask them to learn the process. That is the experiential learning. So it is up to the individual teachers to see that the students are exposed to this experiential learning through the project work, through the field work, or through the internship. And again, you have to ensure that there are more number of your students are involved in this process, so that you get more out of these 20 weightages. Then the third focus is on the feedback system, which altogether has the 20 weightages for 2 different metrics. Now, that is to say, institution is supposed to have a feedback on the curriculum. Please remember that the feedback that we are discussing here is not feedback on the teacher quality or not feedback on the infrastructure facilities of a college. It is exclusively on the curriculum that the students are having at the point of you going through the accreditation process. But I personally feel that it is totally irrelevant for an affiliated college to have the feedback, because even if you have the feedback from various stakeholders like the students, teachers, employees, and alumni, what you can do, you cannot modify the syllabus, you cannot change the syllabus. But there is no point as such in you getting the feedback from the stakeholders, because you cannot do a major change in the curriculum that is being offered to your own student. But NAC thinks that even though you are an affiliated colleges and has nothing to do with the design in the curriculum, you are supposed to have the feedback, not just have the feedback. You look at the second question. The feedback process of the institution may be classified as follows. That is, feedback is collected, analyzed, and action taken, feedback available on the website. So only if you opt for this option, you will get more out of the 10 weightages. If you say that feedback is just collected, you may get just only 2 marks. If you say that feedback collected and analyzed, you may get 4. If you say that feedback collected, analyzed, and action has been taken, you may get about 6. But only if you say that you have collected the feedback, you have analyzed, you have prepared a report, and the subsequent action was taken. Not only that, the suggestion, the report that you have prepared, what kind of action you have taken, and what is the change that is ultimately brought about. If everything is put on your website, you may get more out of your 10 weightages. So even though it is not absolutely necessary for an accredited college to undertake this survey, the feedback from the students and curriculum, NAC expects you to do this. Not only just get the feedback, but also you'll have to process it and you'll have to take suitable action. So what kind of action an accredited college can actually take? As I said, no, you cannot actually change the syllabus, but what I suggest is you go through the process. That is to say, you get the feedback from the various stakeholders as suggested, prepare a report, and the recommendations can be simply forwarded to your management and the concerned university for their consideration. And you can say that as an affiliated college, you cannot modify the syllabus. So we are forwarding all the recommendations from our various stakeholders for the consideration of the university, and that report can be given at the time of you filling for your SSR. So this is about the feedback in the first criteria, namely curriculum designing. So in the curriculum designing, the focus has to be on 3 different things. One is how many add-on programs are being offered by the college in the last 5 years, and how many students are undergoing the thing. The second one is how many courses have got this experiential learning and internship and all, and how many students are involved. The third one is the feedback from the various stakeholders. The second one, as I told you, this is a very, very critical criterion for the affiliated colleges, because this is a single criterion, as I told you, has got 350 weightages. These things are usual, but the last one is the new concept, which was not there in the old format. The student satisfaction survey is a new concept, which is introduced only in the Revised Accreditation Framework. Now, this particular criterion, as I told you, has got 350 weightages. So you look at this distribution of the weightages. For the student enrollment profile, you got 40, capturing the student diversity 50, and teaching learning process 15, teacher profile and quality 16, evaluation process reforms 13, student performance and learning outcomes 60, and student satisfaction 60. See, all the weightages, so all the metrics have got very high weightages. And if you could do well in all these metrics, ultimately you'll be able to score more out of 350 weightages. So the focus of affiliated colleges has to be essentially on this particular criterion, namely the teaching learning evaluation. And you'll have to focus in such a way that you get maximum out of each metrics, and that helps your college to get a good grade. Now here, the average enrollment percentage in the last 5 years carries 20 weightages. That is to say, when you say that your college is offering, say, 20 UG programs and 5 PG programs, certain number of programs are being offered by your particular college. So when you are getting a particular program, now the university comes with a certain number of seats, which is called as a sanctioned strength. So the point that the NAC wants to know is, are you having enough number of students for all the programs that you are offering? That is the purpose of this question. So you have to give data of all the programs that you are offering for the last 5 years. What is the sanction strength for the various programs, and how many students are actually getting admitted in the various programs in the last 5 years. So if you are not having any issue in getting the required number of students for the last 5 years, you can get the maximum out of the 20 weightages. The second one is average percentage seats filled against the seats reserved for various category. In a nutshell, see, if every government is giving certain quota system for to be followed by all the colleges in the state. Now, as a college, are you following the quota system which is dictated by the government of local government, and you are not violating the norms being prescribed by the government or competent authorities? So, if you are fulfilling the requirements of having the quota system as is being suggested by the government, you can get maximum out of 20 weightages. That is for this. So altogether, for the number of students that you are admitting And also for the number of students which are belong to the particular reservation category of students, you can get maximum out of the 40 weightages. The third one is the institution assess the learning levels of the students and organizes special programs for advanced learners and slow learners. So here is a single weightage with the 30 marks. So this has to be considered very significant by the colleges. So how do you assess the learning levels of the student? So when a student joins a particular program, at some point of time, you have to make an assessment about the level of understanding of your students. And ultimately, we broadly come to two categories of students. One is called as the slow learners, the other one is called as the advanced learners. Now, as a college, you are supposed to fulfill the requirements of these both categories of students, namely slow learners and the advanced learners. Generally, what we do is we focus on the slow learners. We say that we are having the tutorial system, we take extra classes, we give them assignments, we give them the extra test and all. But typically, what is to be done is you learn to not only just maintain the records of you giving the assignments, test and all, but the point that you should prove ultimately is your tutorial system is ultimately effective, and the slow learners in some point of time become, if not advanced learner, at least average. That is the point that you should try to get. That is to say, if you are having, say, for about 20 students, you are identifying as slow learners in the first semester. Now, what should be the case is the number of slow learners should come down systematically from the first semester, the second semester, third semester, fourth semester, and fifth semester. Finally, when they are in the sixth semester, there should be no slow learners. If you start with the 20 slow learners in all the 6 semesters, you got 20 slow learners, means it implies that your tutorial system is not effective. So, as a case study, you have to show that your tutorial system is effective, thereby you are actually helping the slow learners to become better and better for every semester, and the number of slow learners is getting reduced in every semester. So that is how you have to prove that your tutorial system is effective, you are taking care of the slow learners. And similarly, most of the colleges, you only focus on the slow learners, but we don't much for the advanced learners. They are not, suppose what is if somebody in your class is brilliant, you cannot just leave it, let him be brilliant, we are not bothered about it. So you have to give him guidances for improve his learning in a better way. For example, even though it may not be mandatory for the student, you can ask him to carry out a mini project. You may be asking to take more online courses. You may ask him to go for internship in industries or institutions on his own. So you let also equally focus on advanced learners. And again, you can give case studies. Suppose if you say that you actually send some of your students for summer institute in IAC Bangalore, and subsequently you could say that the student has joined some program in IAC, then it shows that you are taking care of your advanced learners. So now the focus of a college has to be equally both for the advanced learners and the slow learners. You have to give what are the programs that you are having for slow learners, what are the programs that you are having for the advanced learners, and how effective are these. Now, if it is a descriptive answer, you cannot exceed the limitation of the size of your response, but you can give any length of response in the additional information. For each metric, there is a provision for you to give additional information. So in that section for additional information, you can go on describing at length about what you have done for your slow learners and what you have done for your advanced learners. And the next question is about the student full-time ratio, which carries 20 marks. Here you do not do anything. Say while you're filling up the database of your students, you give how many students are there in the last 5 years. Similarly, in another place, you would have been asked to give the full-time teachers in the last 5 years. So only based on these two numbers, automatically the system will calculate the student full-time teacher ratio. But for a college to get the maximum out of the 20 weightages, what should be done is, you see when there is a program that is being updated to, you are getting updated by the university, it comes with a certain number of sanctioned posts. So it is the responsibility of the colleges to fill all the vacancies. Now government may not give you the permission to fill the aided vacancies. So if you are not getting the aided teachers, colleges should actually fill up all the vacancies with the guest lecturers. The point is that you should have full strength of your teachers so that you can get more out of these 20 weightages for having a better student full-time teacher ratio. Already I told you that a full-time teacher means anyone who is serving a college for more than 90% of the working days in an academic year to be considered as a full-time teacher. There is no discrimination between the aided teacher and a guest lecturer. and your librarian and your physical education director, your part-time lecturer like auditor and chartered accounts should not be considered as a full-time teacher. Then, student-centric methods such as experiential learning, participative learning, and problem-solving methodologies are used for enhancing learning experiences. So this just now I gave an example about how you are involving your students learning in a better way by this experiential learning, participative learning, and the problem-solving methodologies, and the teaching methodologies that carries these weightages. And average person of full-time teachers against sanctioned posts during the last 5 years. This I just now I was discussing about. As a college, it is your responsibility to ensure that you have got the full strength of the teachers, maybe from aided teachers, or if there is not vacancy being filled up with the aided vacancies, colleges should ensure that you are at least getting the guest lecturers for the full strength of the sanctioned strength, which is allotted to a particular college by the government and the university, so that you get more out of this 20 weightages. And now NAC think that you would have joined just your MSc or with your MSc net and SLET, but in the eyes of the NAC, a teacher is the wholesome teacher only if he or she is having this a minimum of PhD. So how many of your teachers are having the PhD and above? That is very important. And this again, the data has to be given for last 5 years. And while you are giving a degree for a particular person, you can only consider the highest degree per count. That is to say, if you are having MSc, MPhil, and PhD, how many are having MSc, you will be included. How many are having MPhil, you will be included. How many if you are having PhD, again, this should not be the case. So if you are with a PhD, you should be included only in the number of the teachers with the PhD and not with the teachers with the MSc or teachers with the MPhil. So you have to give the full-time teachers list for the last 5 years. But when you are giving this data for any data that you are giving for 5 years, kindly remember that it has to be given in the chronological order. Many colleges fail to understand this. Please understand that whenever your data is asked for 5 long years, you'll have to give all this data in a chronological order. For example, if your period is from 2014 to 2019, you'll have to start with the 2014, 15, then 15, 16, and so on. And that is the way you'll have to give the data for any quantitative metrics. Then average teaching experience, the full-time teachers in the same institution. Data for the latest completed academic year number of years is asked by the NAC, and this carries 20 weightages. See, teachers are the key people in the accreditation process. Please understand that you are going to play a key role in a college getting a good grade or otherwise. So you having a higher degree like PhD, and if a college is having many experienced teachers, it stands to gain. But here there is a problem in this particular metrics, because earlier the NAC was only asking about the experience of the full-time teachers. Now there is a particular condition which is imposed in this revised guideline, which is effective from January 2020. Now it says that full-time teachers in the same institution. This is a problem. I don't know why NAC is imposing this particular condition that you should have served in the same institution. So only if your service in the particular institution which is undergoing the accreditation process alone to be considered. This will be a problem for the teachers who are serving in the government colleges, for the teachers who are serving in group of colleges. So you may be getting a transfer. You might have served 20 long years on college, and now only last year you would have joined a college which is now undergoing the process. So if you are giving your experience, it is just 1 year for the present college where you are working. It's not good, but NAC is as of now it is imposing this condition. Maybe later on when somebody is pointing out, it may revise this particular condition that you should have served the same institutions for the years of experience to be considered. But as of now, your service only in the same institution which is undergoing the accreditation process alone will be considered, and the total weightage for this particular metric is 20. So next one is the average pass percentage of students during the last 5 years. See, after all, a college exists only for the students. We say that you have got a highly committed faculty, highly experienced faculty, and all those things. But all this should ultimately reflect in your students completing the program successfully. So when you are offering so many programs, what is the pass percentage of your students both in your UG and PG programs the last 5 years? And now that is carrying 30 weightages. So this is another significant change in the revised guidelines, which is effective from January 2020. Before January 2020, they were not asking the data for 5 years. Only the last academic year results were asked. But now somebody has pointed out, and now NASC is asking the result pass percentage of all the programs for the last 5 years. And this single particular metric is again carrying a very high weightage of 30 weightages. So there are 30 weightages for your students getting through the examinations, final examinations successfully, or completing the program successfully, both at UG and PG level. And here is the single most important metrics of all the 96 metrics. See, that is 2.7.1, namely online student satisfaction survey regarding teaching learning process. About 20% students carry 60 marks. See, there are 96 questions for a total of 1,000 weightages. But here is a single question. The question is on how far your students are satisfied with the kind of teaching, the kind of infrastructure you are providing as a college, and that alone will decide 6% of the total weightages. So this is the single parameter which will be enhancing your total weightages, and this is carrying a maximum of 60 weightages. So please understand the importance of the opinion of your own students. After all, as I told you repeatedly, a college exists only for the benefit of the students. Students are the primary stakeholders. So what you are as a college, what kind of teaching that you are imparting to the students, what kind of infrastructure facilities are available to your own students will be weighed for a maximum 60 weightages. But here you'll have to understand one thing. Now, the moment it is said that there will be student status survey, there is some kind of apprehension in the minds of the teachers. What if we lose marks? There are 60 marks and students may give a very bad opinion about us and we may lose marks. Don't think that way, because this is not going to involve all the 1,000 and odd students that you may have in your college. It is subject to a maximum of only 100 students. It will be randomly chosen. You won't know. Nobody will know about who are the students who will be subject to the survey. And as I told you, all the 20 objective type of questions are very reasonable. They're all only related to the teaching ability of the teachers. What kind of teachers they have got? Are they punctual? Are they having knowledge? It's all very reasonable, I would say. And one subject type of question is related to the kind of infrastructure facilities the college is offering to them, again, which is very reasonable. So I would say that the questions of the students and survey are very, very reasonable. And it's a random survey involving just only 100 students. So if you are very bad in the eyes of all the 100 students who are undergoing the survey, then we are really bad. But normally, let me assure you that no college is getting very bad marks in this particular metrics. Most of the colleges are actually able to get very good weightages in the student study survey. So only point that you have to be very careful during the student study survey is, as I think, this is the point. So this is actually the information that you are supposed to give to the NAC at the time of you submitting the SSR. Please understand that there is no separate mechanism you to submit the database of the students. It is a part of the SSR. 2.71 in the SSR is the quantity metrics, wherein you have to give the database of your students, giving the details like the name, class, gender, student ID number, even Aadhaar number, mobile number, email ID, and the degree program. So you have to upload at least 50% of the students who are enrolling at the point of time you going for accreditation process. But while you collect this information for the students, even yesterday I pointed out, you have to be very particular about the email ID of the students. This is very important, because even though they're asking other details like the mobile number and the Aadhaar number and all, the survey is conducted only through the email. So it is important that you are getting the email from the students, which they are actually, which is functional, or which they know the username and password. This is very, very important. The class teachers in charge have to ensure that they are getting the students' email ID, which is functional. Otherwise, it will be a waste of time. There is no point you getting all other details and ignoring functional email ID. So you please ensure that while you are getting the details from your students, you are ensuring that the students are having an email ID, which will be opening when they are using the right username and password, because the student survey is only through the emails. So the second criterion is very, very important, because almost all the metrics are carrying a very high weightages, and the teacher quality alone decides 60 weightages. See, teacher quality and profile is carrying a maximum 60 weightages. weightages, but all of them are quantity metrics. Nothing is quality metric. They don't want any qualitative aspect of the teacher's quality. The quality in terms of quantity. That is what they say. So how many of the, whether you're having full strength of the teachers, whether you're having more number of PhD holders, I don't know how PhD will help for you being a better teacher, but in the age of the NAC, you are a better teacher only if you're having a PhD. The third thing is how many years of experience you've got. So your college is having full strength of teachers, more number of PhDs, and more number of experienced teachers will get you maximum out of 60 weightages. Now we move on to the third one, research, innovation, extension. And this is carrying a maximum of 110 for a UG college and 120 for a PG college. Here, this 3.3 innovation ecosystem is a new concept which was not there in the old format. This is a new concept which is introduced only in this revised accreditation framework. And this carries 10 marks for only a PG college, and it is not applicable for a UG college. So what is this ecosystem for innovation? The ecosystem for innovation comprises of material resources and human resources and the linkages among them. In a nutshell, see, as a college, you got resources in the form of physical resources. You might got buildings, you might got place and all. And as a college, you got students, faculty with the skills. So there are two kinds of resources. There is a physical resource on one hand, and there is a skill resource on the other hand. What is the synergy between these two? Are they coming together? If they come together, let them develop products. Let them develop products, and you have to generate money out of it. See, ultimately, now NAC wants you to develop products and you sell it commercially and make money out of it. That's what ultimately this ecosystem for innovation means. So for this, for example, if there is a facility college which has developed a technology that can produce cheap LED bulbs, then that can be commercialized. That is, you can get some seed money from your management. You can involve your own staff and student, produce say 50 bulbs initially, sell it to your own students and staff. In the next year, you may produce 500 bulbs, sell it to the local community. So you have to generate more money out of the resource that you've got. There are two kinds of resources, material resources and skill resources. So these have to be utilized properly by the college to get money. So don't just do these things for demonstration purpose. The physics department cannot just show to the world that we have got a technology. They have to actually do it continuously on a commercial scale and make money. Here in Tamil Nadu, I live in Tiruchirappally. There is a nearby college, a rural college, Negru Memorial College, Putnambatti. There is a zoology professor. He is an expert in vermiculture. You will be surprised to know that every year now he is selling the vermicompost. That is the manure from the vermicomposting to the tune of 2 lakhs rupees. So he is getting 2 lakhs rupees every year for the college by selling manure from the vermicomposting. So that kind of technology has to be developed from each college, and you have to make money. That is what is this ecosystem for innovation means. So now for that, the college is supposed to organize workshops on research methodology, intellectual property rights, and entrepreneurship. Here, many colleges have got a doubt. You may be organizing umpteen number of seminars and workshops related to your curriculum. Don't include all this here. It is very particular. NAC makes it very clear that only those programs, seminars which are related to research methodology, intellectual property is IPR, and entrepreneurship alone should be given for this particular 5.2 to 3.22 that carries a maximum of 5 marks. So here is a new concept called ecosystem for innovation, which is introduced by the NAC in the Revised Accreditation Framework, wherein the college is expected to make use of the resources in the college to generate money. They say to have got generate money to have significant economic value. So don't do it just for demonstration purpose. You have to generate money on a large scale, and that is the idea of this innovation for an ecosystem for innovation. And apart from that, the number of papers published by the teacher in the journal carries 10 weightages. But here is the click, that is the thing, your paper should have been published only in that UGC care list. That is the condition that is being laid by the UGC. So if you are not publishing your paper in the UGC care list, it will not be considered. That is one condition. Another thing is that your name is not so important. What is so important is not only your name, but the affiliation of your college. At the time of you publishing a paper, your name should be there. So also your college name. You might have worked in a college, went on a FDP program, be an university and publish a paper. At the time, you may be using only the name of the university, then it is not considered as your paper published by the faculty of the college. So kindly understand that when you are giving a paper publication details, two things are important, not only your name, but also the affiliation at the point of you publish the paper is very important. More than that is, your paper should have been published in the list of UGC CARE, and then one day it will be considered for getting some kind of marks, and it is responsible of the internet to verify the details of publication, and that carries 10 weightages. Then apart from the publications, if a teacher is writing books, it's well and good. And also if you're contributing to chapters in edit volumes and books published in papers related to national and international conference proceedings, then it carries another 10 weightages. Don't get confused. These two things are different. Publishing papers in research journals is different, and writing books and writing chapters in proceedings of the conference is different. And altogether, these two carry a maximum of 20 weightages. And another thing is about the external activity and outreach program. So this particular focus on external activity and outreach program has to be seriously considered by the colleges to get maximum out of this third criteria. So how many external activity, how many outreach programs are being conducted by the institution through the various clubs like NSS, NCC, Red Cross, YRs, and so on, including the Swachh Bharat, the AIDS awareness, and gender issues, etc. And those organized in collaboration with the industry, community, and NGOs during the last 5 years. So in the chronological order, you have to give the various kinds of programs which were organized by your NSS, NCC, and all other clubs related to community services, and that carries the 15 marks. And look at the second one. All the students participating in external activities carries 20 weightages. So it is not only important that you carry out many of the external activities, but the point is that all these external activities should be involving more number of students. So typically, for example, a botany department may go to a nearby village, and then you say that you are training the farmer for mushroom culture. Usually what is being done is you will go once in a year to one village, and then involve some about 50 to 100 farmers, and then involve only about 20 students, and then you will say this is an activity. But what may happen now, the same mushroom training may be given to 5 villages, in each village, suppose there are 2 farmers, you would have trained 1,000 villages, and you are involving 20 students once, means you are having 5 into 20, at least 100 students for various programs. So similarly, not only the number of programs are important, but you should ensure that there are more number of students who are participating in the external activities, and that carries 20 weight. So altogether, your external activities by the various units like NSS, NCC will carry a maximum of 35 weightages, and you have to give the details. So here, what is more important is you cannot simply give the name of the program, the number of the students, number of faculty involved. What is more important is evidences. You have to provide evidences. Please understand that the most critical input that is required in the revised accreditation framework is whatever may be your claim, you have to give document evidences. So for all these activities, now you should have to start with an invitation or a brochure, and then you could have gone through the process. That means you would have conducted various activities, and you take photographs of all the activities using geotagging, and ask the concerned coordinator to write a report, enclose the report as evidence, and finally sometimes it may even appear in local papers. If you've got paper clips related to extra activities, you can also enclose the paper clipping. So for every kind of activity, it is important that you are providing the document evidences in logical way, so that the DV partner will actually accept it as an extra activity. So the mere giving the name of the programs and the number will not be enough. You have to provide suitable evidences by the way I suggested to you, so that it will be accepted by the DV partner. Please remember that extension activity is very critical. You may actually make a difference if you are very focusing on these extra activities. There are colleges here which extensively focused on these, intensely focused on extra activities, and for this simple reason, they have got a very good score in the final outcome. So don't ignore the extra activity programs. Try to have as many programs as possible, involving more number of students, so that you get maximum out of these 35 weightages. The fourth one is related to the infrastructure and learning resources on physical facilities and the library resources, IT infrastructure, and the maintenance of campus infrastructure. This is uniformly 100 for all the 4 categories of institutions. And here, the physical facilities, they want you to tell out of total number of classrooms, what is the percentage of classrooms and seminar halls with the ICT enabled facilities such as smart class or learning management systems? That carries 10 weightages. So suppose if you make a claim that out of 100 classrooms in your college, 75 classes are having some kind of ICT enabled facilities, or they are called as smart classrooms. How to prove that actually 75 classrooms are having these ICT enabled facilities? For each block, you have a layout, and for each room, you give a number, and you can mark out those rooms which are having this kind of facilities. Provide the layout, take actual photographs, take the photos. You say that you've got 3 AC seminar halls and each with a capacity of 100, 200, 300 respectively. You have to take photographs separately. You cannot simply say that you've got 3 seminar halls. You will take the photographs, possibly using the geotagging. And as I already told you yesterday, suppose if you have taken already photographs without using this geotagging procedure, it's not an issue. All that is required is you have the photograph countersigned by your principal, and that will be accepted as evidence. But in future, whenever you are taking a photograph, try to use this geotagging mechanism so that automatically it will be accepted by the DV partner as a evidence. So having more number of smart classrooms and more number of seminar halls will get you more out of that 10 weightages. Then average annual expenditure on the purchase of books, e-books, and the subsequent journals carries 5 marks. This is important. Say, library is a now center of a college. Particularly, this will be very critical during a peer team visit. No peer team will leave the college without visiting the library. So your library has to spend a lot of money. So the money that you spend has to be increasing every year in the last 5 years. The number of volumes which are added to the library has to be again on the rise for every year. And you may be also subscribing to e-journals. Suppose if you are subscribing to e-journals, you should have the original bill and the functional, all the details have to be enclosed as the evidences. And not more than that, you may have got a very good infrastructure in the library, but hardly you may have got any visitor. So the next question is about the percentage usage of library. How many teachers and students are visiting the library, which is very important. In fact, all the libraries in the college are having tough time because thanks to this internet and the smartphones, nobody is now visiting the library. But somehow the librarian should ensure that there are more number of students and more number of teachers are visiting the library every day, so that the college will get more out of these 5 weightages. So library has to be again an important point to be considered, particularly during the peer team. Then student computer ratio is having 10 weightages. See, here the point that you should understand is when they are asking the student computer ratio, it is not how many computers the college has. The college may have got 200 computers and 50 computers in the college office and another 50 computers in the staff room. So only about 100 computers are used for the students. So when they talk about this student computer ratio, these computers are exclusively to be used only by the student. So you have to show that how many computers are accessible by the students. You have to give the numbers, you have to give the bills, invoice, etc. You have to number the systems, you have to take photographs. So then only it will be accepted. Not just mere giving number will not be accepted by the DV partner. You have to clearly prove that these computers are for the exclusive use of the students. The number of computers in your computer laboratory, the number of computers in the library for browsing, and sometimes your department may be a DSTFS department and you might have got separate computer lab facilities. Only those computers have to be given as the computers that are available in the college for the use of the students. And that is very important because that carries 10 weightages. And next one is the bandwidth of the internet connection in the institution. If you are having a very good bandwidth internet connection, you will get more out of 15 weightages. So it is very important that colleges have got bandwidth with very high speed, and depending upon the speed of your internet connection, you'll get more out of 15 marks or 15 weightages. But here the point is it has to be functional. That means you'll have to include the latest bill as evidence, and the bill should be in the name of the college. It's not in the name of an individual. It cannot be accepted. Even it cannot be in the name of the principal. The connection has to be in the name of the institution, then only it will be accepted. If it is in the name of any individual, it will not be considered. So when you are trying to get the bandwidth of for the internet connection of the college, kindly ensure that the connection is the name of the institution and not on any individuals. And if your speed is better, your marks will be also better. Then the next one is the student support and progression. See, this is an important criterion from the point of getting a very good grade by the affiliated colleges. So it is having 4 indicators: student support, student progression, student participant activities, and alumni engagement. And here again, each metric is very important because the student support is getting 50 weightages, student progression is getting 25 for a PG college, and student participant activities is carrying 45 weightages, and your contribution with the alumni is uniformly getting maximum of 10 weightages. So if you're an affiliated college, this carries a maximum of 130 weightages. So as I already pointed, along with the second criteria, which carries 350, these 2 criteria are actually accounting for nearly 50% of total weightages. So you have to focus on this particular criterion also if you are aiming for a A+ and above. So what is to be focused on here? So average percentage of students benefited by scholarship and free seats provided by the government during the last 5 years. See, with effect from January 2020, this revision is there. It's good for the colleges. Earlier, 12 for government scholarship and 12 by the management. Now, the schemes by the management is now reduced only to 5 marks. So, if more of your students are getting some kind of scholarship from the state government and the central government in the last 5 years, you will get more out of 20 weightages. So, you will have to get the necessary number of scholarship, number of students who are benefited from the college office, and provide the data, and also you should get it countersigned by the principal. The number has to be countersigned by the principal as evidence. And if you are getting a good number of students of your college getting the scholarships from the government agencies, you get more out of 20 weightages. And from them, as I told you, there are 5 marks, 5 weightages for scholarship given by the college management. But here you have to understand that when you are saying that you are giving some kind of assistance to your own students from the funds of the management, it has to be in kind, it has to be in cash. Nothing in kind will be accepted as a concession. And it has to be a minimum of 50%. See, suppose if the tuition fees for a self-financing program is 10,000 rupees, you cannot simply say that you can reduce 100 rupees and pay the rest of 9,900 rupees. It is not a concession. If it has to be in cash, it has to be a minimum of 50%. Then only it will be accepted as a fee concession by the management. Of course, that carries only a minimum of a maximum of only 5 marks. But if more of your students are getting scholarship from the government, you get more out of the 20 weightages. Then average students benefited by the guidance for competitive examinations, career counseling by the institute over the last 5 years carries 10 weightages. So luckily, earlier they were asking how many students were guided and how many students actually passed the examinations. But now they are not asking detail about how many students have passed the examination and how many students are ultimately getting placed. So you will just provide the various programs that you are offering to your students, and number of students who are benefited by the college for preparing their competitive examinations, and career counseling that carries 10 weightages. You will have to give data for last 5 years. Then average percentage of placements of outgoing students during the last 5 years. So this carries 10 weightages. So you have to give how many of your outgoing students the last 5 years were placed. So placement means not you cannot say simply say an agency name and some amount as the package. You have to give full details of the employer, including his name, complete postal address, mobile number, fax number if it is available. It has to be given. And annual package for the student is getting means you should enclose the appointment order as an evidence. And now here you have to understand one important point. While you are giving details about the placement cell of the college is supposed to give a report, annual report for the last 5 years as evidence. The placement means as and when a student is about to complete the program, with the help of the college placement cell, he should have been employed. Then this is what is a placement. A student would have completed a program in your college, left the college, after 6 months, he would have got a job on his own. Then it is not placement by the college. Please understand when it is to be done toward the end of the program, and there has to be a role to be played by the placement cell. They should bring in what is this? Am I getting a message? Are you able to hear me, sir? Hello?
Yes, fine, sir. Fine, sir. Continue.
Okay. All the placement students who are means that they should have been placed by you toward the end of the program. That is what is the counted, and that carries 10 weightages. And all the personal students progressing to higher education is carrying another 10 weightages. So here, student progression. You please understand that it is if you are an undergraduate department, how many of your students are actually going for a PG program? How many of your students are going for a PG program? Even you can consider the number of students who are going for a B.Ed program. And suppose if you are a BS Zoology, you can consider MS Zoology and even MA English or MA Malayalam. So anyone who is going from a UG program, PG program, but you let us say out of 25 has gone for MS Zoology, 5 has gone for MA Malayalam, 5 has gone for MA English, and 5 has gone for say B.Ed. So you have to give details about how many of your students are going for higher education. And here you have to have the admission card of your students as evidence, or ID card of the students as evidence. And if there is a need, the DV partner would ask you to provide document evidences. If the number is too high, then they would ask you to provide document evidences. And students may be even placed that coming earlier. And student progression for PG students means how many of your students are entering into research and how many of your students are getting employed. So these are the only things that has to be given as a progression. And of course, placement already they talk about how many of students are placed is already covered. So here only related to progression from a lower level to higher level of education, from UG to PG or PG to research has to be given as details for the last 5 years. Then number of students, awards, and suppose if there is a data that is required in another metric, it's only 5 stages now. That's why I have not included. Suppose if there is details about your student getting to the net examination and all, you have to ensure that you have the certificates that the student would have got when they pass the examination, and that now is been reduced to only 5 weightages. That's why I have not included it here. Then the number of awards and medals for outstanding performance in sports and cultural activities at university, state, national, international level by the students the last 5 years carries 20 weightages. See, earlier there was only consideration about the national and international level. Before January 2020, your students getting some kind of medal either in sports and cultural only at a national level and international level were considered. Now with effect from January 2020, even your students getting some kind of awards at university and inter-university and the state level is to be considered. So now you will have to give the details about your student getting laurels in the sports and cultural activities. You start with international level in chronological order, then give national level, then state level and the university level, and that will get you a maximum of 20 weightages. And now NAC wants to not only your students participating in various sports and cultural activities which are organized elsewhere. How many programs of cultural events, sports events you have organized as a college, and that carries equal 20 weightages. So please try to understand that as a college, if you are organizing more number of competitions and more number of competitions, more number of sports and cultural events involving the whole college students or inter-college programs, then you'll get more out of 20 weightages. Here, suppose if an English department is organizing event exclusive for the English department, it is not to be considered as an event organized by the college. Suppose if the English department is organizing a quiz program for the whole students of the college, then it is a competition organized by the college. So you have to make a difference between events organized by the department and events that are organized by the college. So you try to organize more number of sports and cultural events at college level or inter-college level, national level, state level, and then you'll get more out of the 20 weightages. So participation of your students in the sports and cultural activities, you organizing more number of sports and cultural activities will be getting you more out of 40 weightages together. And what about the contribution of alumni? Say alumni or key persons in the most of the Western universities. In fact, alumni strongly contribute for the running of the Western university. But now we are making a new beginning. We just started knowing about what is the contribution of alumni, both financially and non-financially, and that carries about 10 marks. So if you are getting more out of your alumni, then you get more out of five weightages. So it ranges from 1 lakh to maximum above 5 lakhs. But just to get some weightages, you cannot say that you are getting 4 lakhs to 5 lakhs from your alumni. For all these claims that your money that you are claiming, you don't have auditor statement countersigned by the principal. Suppose if you say that your alumnus has given you 2 lakhs rupees, they'll ask you the check number, the money where it is deposited, and more importantly, how the money was spent. So you'll have to give the audited statement for the money that you have received and the money that is spent by the alumni association. And altogether, if it is too good, you'll get more out of the 5 weightages. So the contribution of the alumni, both financial and non-financial, is considered in the process itself for a maximum of 10 weightages as of now. Then the sixth one is about the governance, leadership, and management. And here it's a usual thing. There is no change in the sixth parameter. It's all related to the attitude of the management. See, management should have a perception. What is the perception of management for the college in the next 5 years, and what they have done in the last 5 years is they ultimately considered the sixth criterion. And every college has got a vision and mission statement, and you carry out a lot of activities. How far your activities are in line with your vision mission, and you will have to give an outline about it, and that carries 10 weightages. And strategic development and deployment carries 10 weightages. Faculty amount strategies carry 30 weightages, and financial management and business mobility carries 20 weightages, and role played by the IQAC has a maximum of 30 weightages. So the initial has got effective welfare measures for teaching and non-teaching staff. This carries 5 weightages. So whether you are helping your teaching staff and the non-teaching staff, for example, if you consider for the sons and daughters of teachers and non-teacher staffs, you have got a cooperative society, and you give a maternity leave for even guest lecturers. So what kind of welfare measures are being initiated by the management? How the management takes care of both its teaching and non-teaching faculty, you'll highlight, and that carries a maximum of 5 weightages. And average person of teachers provided with financial support to attend conferences, workshop, and towards membership for the professional parties in the last 5 years. This is very important. You cannot simply say that there is a gentleman who got 5,000 rupees. The money should have been deposited in the account. The mere cash voucher is not enough. It is not an evidence. The money should have been deposited in the name of the individual who has received it, supported by a document evidence voucher. Then only it will be considered as a financial support by the management towards attending conferences or workshop or publications and so on. So every year management has to provide a seed money which is allocated and it has to be increased every year. And if more number of teachers are benefited by the financial support by the management to attend conferences, to publish papers, to attend workshop and so on, you will get more out of 10 weightages. But understand that the mere name and vouchers will not be considered as evidence. The money has to be essentially deposited in the account of the recipient, and you will also provide a receipt as a evidence, voucher as evidence also. And funds and grants received from the non-government bodies, individual philanthropists, the last 5 years will be carrying another 8 months. You could have got money from other sources. How much money that you got from the non-government bodies and alumni, excluding those things, it is to be considered, and that is for a maximum of 8 weightages. And these 3 weightages, the 3 metrics are all about the role that is played by the IQAC. What are the initiatives that are taken by the IQAC, and whether it is involved in teaching learning process, structures and methodology operations, and learning outcomes, what are the various FDP programs that is being organized by the IQAC for the teaching staff, non-teaching staff, whether it is involved in offering skill-based programs, all activities for that matter that happens in the college has to be with the guidance of the IQAC. And if you are involved in more of activities like a regular meeting, collaborative quality initiatives, participate in the NIF ranking mechanism, and any other quality audit recognized by the state national bodies. So in a nutshell, the various activities by the IQAC in the last 5 years will be considered for a maximum of 30 weightages. And the last one is the institutional values and the best practices. And here the institutional values and social responsibilities is a new concept, and it carries 50 weightages. And the best practices, which you already are familiar, carries a maximum 30 weightages, and institutional distinctions carries 20 weightages. See, what is this institutional values? See, every college has got a vision and mission statement, and how you are carrying out a number of activities. You will have to specifically take 2 specific activities wherein you are able to fulfill your vision and mission. That is what is more important. And the social responsibilities means how far you are helping the local community. For example, you having this, even throwing open your playground for morning walk by the local community can be considered as a service to the local community. And also the number of biogas plants, installed solar plants, wastewater treatment plants, rainwater saving mechanisms. So all these things are considered plastic-free campus. So you providing the care for the physically disabled students. So all these things are considered for a maximum of 50 weightages. And the best practices is for a maximum of 30 weightages. So what best practices? So anything can be a best practice. So for example, many colleges have got palliative care as the best practices. So anything could have been a best practice. But now in the revised accreditation framework, NAC is imposing a condition, that is, this practice is relevant mainly within the institution at a given point of time. So your best practice has to be practiced within the institution. And they also make a recommendation that it can be in respect of teaching, learning, office practices, maintenance and upkeep of things, or dealing with the human beings or money matters. So ultimately, your best practice should help the institution either in academic or administrative organization. So you cannot have anything as your best practices hereafter. Your best practice has to be something that is practiced within the college, and it could be involving any of these parameters, and it should help the college either in academic or administrative thing. And you have to provide these best practices in the format that is suggested by the NAC, and that will have a maximum of 30 weightages. And finally, that institutional uniqueness, that is the, say as a college, you are unique in one way or other when compared to all other institutions. So you let actually cite one instances where all the stakeholders of the college came together, and you are trying to fulfill your vision mission statement in such a way that you are having something unique as a college, and you have to highlight that within a maximum 1,000 words, and that carries 20 marks. So this is how ultimately you have to focus for the various criteria. And if you are able to focus this, definitely you'll be able to score a very good marks at the end of the process, and your college can be assured of A plus and above. But one thing that I would like to tell at this point is, these guidelines cannot be practiced in one day or 1 week or 1 month, and it cannot be useful for everybody right at now. Suppose if you're starting a new cycle, only say last 6 months you got accredited, you are starting a new cycle, means if you are knowing all these parameters that I've suggested, where to focus and all, if you thoroughly plan it and execute all the suggestions that I've suggested so far, at the end of the 5 years, definitely you'll be very rich with the data and information, and definitely you'll be assured A plus and above. Suppose if you already completed 2 years, something can be salvaged. The remaining 3 years, you can try something, and that can be done. So you could get something out of the system that I am now making. Suppose if you're going to have your accreditation process another 6 months time, the suggestion may not be immediately useful to you. You may not be able to carry out many other things that I have suggested, because these things cannot be carried out in 1 day or 1 week or in 1 month. It has to be thoroughly practiced over a 5 years period, so that you have enough data. But the point that you have to learn is, if you are aware of these are the things that have to be considered, these are things that have to be focused, and if you plan for your next cycle right from now, in the next academic cycle, definitely you'll get a very good score. I think that's all. Thank you very much to one and all. Sir, I have finished my presentation, sir. Hello?
Okay, sir.
I have finished my presentation, sir.
Okay.
Hello? Hello, sir. Tell me, sir.
Shall we move on to the question answer session?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You can move to the questions.
Yeah. So this is the first question from, I'll start with our own, my colleague, Lynette Joseph from Bishopur College. Her question is, which all contribution from alumni other than the financial can be useful in NAC accreditation? Alumni usually...
Actually, no. Alumni, as I told you, they could contribute both financially and non-financial matters. For example, you could see that there is one of your alumnus who is employed in a company. He may help all your present students to get employed. Understand? Your alumnus is in a Western University doing his PDF. He may be giving periodic lecture on the latest developments in the field. So there are various ways by which your alumni can actually contribute. Not only money, there are other ways by which they can contribute. They can help your present students get employed. They can share their experiences so that the present students also can prepare in that way and get employed in the companies where they are working. And the people who are in Western universities can give online lectures to your own students on the latest developments. So there are other ways by which they can contribute. But you have to document everything and provide evidences so that there is contribution other than money by your own alumni.
Okay, sir. Thank you. There is a request to the participants. Please do type out your questions in full sentences, because there is a problem in comprehending as to what you want to say. This is for the participants. Participants, please do ensure that you type out in full sentences, because we are not able to comprehend what some of you have written. Sir, there's a second question from Rahul Sharma, University of Delhi. Sir wants to know, he's asking us to tell us about the sports activities criteria.
Okay. See, here, if you are student excelling in sports and getting awards alone is considered. The mere participation is not considered. Please understand that the mere participation is not considered. Your students should have won awards, possibly at international level, or national level, state level, or inter-university level. Say before January 2020, NAC considered the achievements of your students in sports and culture only at a national and international level. But with effect from January 2020, even if your students are able to get any award at the state level, it is considered. And even at the international level, it is considered, which is a better development. And another point that you have to understand is, suppose there is one of your students who have got an award at the international level that is equivalent to 4 of your students getting award at, say, state level. So there are weightages. When your students are doing better at the international level, you get more weightages. Similarly, even for cultural programs, suppose if you got awards at the international level, it is more weightage. It's having more weightages. So only the participation will not be counted. Participation will not be counted. You should have won awards, medals. That one alone will be considered. And another point is, for team event, it is to be considered as only one. Suppose if the cricket team would have won an award at, say, national level, then you cannot have 11 as the awards. It is to be only one. For team event, the number of award is only one. That is the condition.
Okay. So this is from Anju TR, Newman College, Todubara. The question is, if a department is organizing a program with IQAC, can we consider it as an institutional activity? That is a criteria 5 activity?
See, this has to involve more of your students of the college. If you are restricting the participation only to one department or 2 departments, it is not activity by the college. So activity of the college alone is considered, not activity by the departments. So you let organize the event which is involving more of your students and possibly involving more of students from other colleges also. Then it will be an event organized by the college. Say college organized means a college as a whole, on its own cannot organize. It is a department, but the department has to organize an event in such a way it is involving more of your own students from many departments, possibly all the departments, or it could involve students from other colleges also. Say university level competitions, state level competition, national level competition, then it is an event.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. So this is from Dr. Praveen Kumar from Presidency College, Chennai. Your own college, as you said yesterday.
Yes, I'm happy to have friends. Tell me.
Do financial support to students, research scholars, or attending conferences, seminars by institutions have the weightage in NAC?
Yes. See, it is how much the management is providing as a seed money every year, and how much money is given to the number of how many faculty members have received this assistance will be definitely considered. But more important is the college cannot simply say that A has received 5,000 rupees, B has received 5,000 rupees. The money should have been deposited in the account of the one who has received the money, and that has to be again supported by a suitable voucher as receipt. The mere provision of the voucher will not be accepted. So you can produce any number of vouchers as though you have received the money. But NAC wants you to prove that the actual recipients have received the money, so that the money has to be deposited. It should not be given in cash. It should be deposited only in the account of the one who received the money. So finance is provided by the management to attend the workshops, to attend the conferences by providing TA and BA, or even they may pay the registration fees. And even for publishing papers in journals, if they are providing assistance, that is again considered. But what is important is the college cannot do it unilaterally. It has to initially make a policy statement. These are the conditions on which we are going to give money. A policy statement has to be, because college may give money to you and not to me. It cannot discriminate between the individuals. There has to be a policy statement on the way the teachers can get assistance for any kind of programs. Suppose we want to go for getting some assistance, it has to be already spelled out by the management. There should be a policy document initially, and it should be followed by uniformly for everybody. Management cannot discriminate among the individuals in order to provide the financial assistance. That will not be accepted. There are guidelines given by the NAC for providing financial assistance to the teachers in attending the workshops and other things.
Okay, so sir, this is from Anju TR, Newman College, Todubura. The question is, sir, with respect to the add-on courses, if we have a UGC sponsored add-on for 5
That's
years.
very good. That's very good. It's very good because you get a lot of financial support also. It's better that you can get, if you are getting this UGC add-on program, but it's not that easy now to get that. They almost stopped giving that add-on programs now. But if you can get add-on programs sponsored by UGC, it's very good. Because you get financial assistance from the UGC, which is very good. You can improve the infrastructure.
Yeah, the question is, I'll read out in completion. If we have a UGC sponsored add-on for 5 years, which was on while we got last accreditation, we cannot add it as a new addition in any year.
No, you cannot include it now. It has to be introduced only during the period of assessment. So any activity has to be only during the period of assessment. It's not before that or after that. You publishing paper, you attending the seminar, everything has to be within the assessment period. That is very important. You getting the research grants from the funding again has to be within the assessment period, not before or after the assessment period. It has to be within the assessment period. You are assessed only for a particular period. How could you do data for a previous period? It is not acceptable.
So this is from Cora Jacob. That's from Henry Baker College, Mavelikara. Sir, are you expecting a change in the NAC criteria of accreditation with the new education policy? The new agency will be known as assessment agency, as far as I know.
It's a long way. It's a long way. Right now, we do not know. Already, we are having a headache with this existing Revised Accreditation Framework as of now by the NAC. Suppose if they try to incorporate all the policies of the new education policy, really it will be a problem for the colleges. But right now, I don't think they will implement it right now. It may take some time for the administration to implement the new education policy, but definitely there will be changes. One thing basically I would like to highlight is the NAC accreditation process as of now in the present format is purely somebody is interfering.
So this is from Suresh Kumar, Bharati Darshan Government College for Women, Puducherry. The question is, do we have college teachers involved in policy decision making of NAC? If not, why so?
You are asking the right question. See, in the eyes of the NAC, no, if you are serving the college, you are not a teacher. Only the professors in the university, principals of colleges, and the vice chancellors are considered in the peer team. It has got its own norms. It's actually like a Dilli Babu. We cannot question them. It's very unfortunate that they are not considering the teachers in the colleges in the peer team. Very unfortunate.
Abdullah Krishnan Nair, Mar Athenians College wants to know, sir, how does NAC verify the claim of the publications? As it is,
the thing is, all your publications are given to somebody is interfering, sir. Please ask others to mute the thing. When you are giving you the data for publication, it will be given to InflipNet. I understand that there is a third agency which is involved in the process, which is InflipNet, and they will be using the scopus and other tools to find out your publication details.
Okay.
So that is why I told you that not only your name is important. What is more important is the college, affiliated college name is very important. So the scopus will not use your names. It will only use the Bishopur College, Mavelikara. So they will only select those journals, those papers which are having the names of Bishopur College, Mavelikara, not James or France and so on. So it's very important. The affiliation is very important.
Right. So as far as I see, this is the last question from Balwinder for GGM College, Science College, Jammu. And the question is, we never get any type of grant for attending conferences. How do we claim this?
See, as of now, no. Only if you are going for some international conferences, there are certain agencies which are providing travel assistance for you. For attending the local conferences, no government is giving any kind of assistance. That is why NAC is expecting the management to provide the financial assistance to attend the workshops and seminars. If you are going for some international conferences, there are agencies which are providing financial assistance for travel. You can apply to the right agency, but not for attending local seminars and conferences.
So with that, I think we've come to the end of the questions that has been forwarded to me. Sir, thank you very much for this wonderful presentation. And yesterday, you know, this for the participants, yesterday, sir was telling me that he's not sure about how to handle this technology platform. But I told him that the way that he talked yesterday and the way that he talked today, any new generation person would feel diffident. So it was fantastic, fantabulous, and I wish I was just telling my friends here who was watching your presentation, I was just telling them that I wish I could talk at least 50% of the way that you did, sir. It is just...
no, it comes with your age and experience, and thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. Hope you enjoy my presentation. See you tomorrow.
For participants, tomorrow also we'll have sharp at 11. On the same platform, I believe. In case of a change, we will update all of you surely. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, all the participants. Have a good day. Thank you. Thank you very much.